month's Fintech Firebrand. I'm Virginie O'Shea, founder of Firebrand Research, and I'm here to talk to you all about the goings-on over the last month in terms of finreg and fintech. Now, kicking off the show, there was some interesting discussion last time about reg reporting, and certainly Firebrand is doing a fair amount of work assessing the maturity of regulatory reporting across the industry. Now, the Bank of England sent out a Dear CEO letter at the start of September that's encouraging banks to improve, they're warning banks that they need to improve their processes and governance around reg reporting. Now, some of the failings they found, and this is all addressed in the letter itself, were around the fact there weren't enough senior managers in charge of overseeing reg reporting. So there's discussion about making sure that happens and having senior executives rather than lower level executives in charge of this stuff. There's also some discussion about a lack of controls and processes around reconciliation. Systems and controls has been a big topic from regulators over recent years in terms of data quality and data quality assessment. Now, the letter indicates that many firms are heavily reliant on spreadsheets still, rather than having implemented any RegTech technology for this stuff. And many of the firms were not actually doing last checks around reconciliation to assess data quality. So there was a certain amount of pressure on these firms to implement new data controls and new audit checks when it comes to reg reporting. And one of the other sort of pain points identified by the Bank of England team was the fact that data quality is low overall because of a lack of governance as well from the data governance side of things too. Certainly there were too many manual checks and processes that were not being backed up by Four Eyes checks. So certainly a lot of room for improvement in terms of the UK firms that were assessed by the Bank of England. And it ends the letter with the indication that there's going to be much more to come from the regulator on this topic. So expect reg reporting to be a big topic for the rest of the year and then onwards. Another important finreg development has been the ever-declining number of commissioners at the CFTC. Now, we're left, unfortunately, with the resignation of yet another CFTC member with only 2 left on the committee. So we have Rustin Benham, who is tipped to be the next CFTC head, and Dawn Stump, who is the only other Republican left. So certainly we are a bit short-handed when it comes to finreg developments in the US and being able to push the agenda of the CFTC. Unfortunately, there has been very slow progress around appointments, so we hope to see many more appointments being made. The SEC is in the lucky area of having many new appointments already been confirmed and sorted out. So we anticipate that the derivative space will see more appointments. If not, it's reason enough, as I said last month, for a merger between the regulators. So hopefully they'll also look at that potential contingency going forward. They may be a little short-handed, as I said, but the CFTC and the SEC have also been facing questions directly from the crypto industry about the role and responsibility of the regulators in this space. Now, we've seen a lot of toing and froing between the regulators over this time, but there seems to be an increasingly high number of questions being posed by those heading up crypto firms about assessments that are being made by the regulators when it comes to approvals or lack of approvals for that matter. So certainly it's been a heated topic for discussion. We saw the Coinbase CEO on that matter this month talking about the process that they've faced when it comes to some of their approvals. I think there needs to be a little education on the part of some of these crypto firms, unfortunately, just to educate them about how the market operates and how securities are assessed, given there seems to be some confusion about lending or debt instruments and whether they should be regulated. So definitely that's something that we'll see much more back and forth amongst the regulatory circles on in the coming months. An interesting acquisition within the realm of reg reporting. Obviously, reg reporting is a big topic, and I will continue to refer to it. But SIX, which is the large Swiss CSD, has indicated it is buying Clearstream, the large international CSD's stake in Regis TR. So that's an interesting move. That's going to be completed relatively soon. And when it comes to SIX, they're very big on blockchain. So we can expect probably some distributed ledger news fairly shortly afterwards. So that's one to watch, particularly within the trade and transaction reporting space. We've also got to bear in mind ESMA is looking for some feedback on its proposals around EMIR refit, which is the next iteration, as it were, of EMIR. I have no idea where we're up to now. I think we're on EMIR 2 point something or other. But certainly the next iteration will be EMIR refit, and that looks to simplify some areas, but will also add more reporting requirements and changes to your current processes for reporting. So make sure that if you want to get back to ESMA on that, they're having an open meeting later this month, and they're also asking for submissions via the usual portals on the ESMA website. So please do get involved on that. And one of the biggest topics that anyone could be talking about this month, or starting this month, was the announced merger between Brown Brothers Harriman and State Street, which will mean that they combine to be the largest assets under custodian in the globe once the merger is completed. So certainly the Brown Brothers Harriman Investor Services business is being acquired for a total of $3.5 billion. Which is a significant amount of money, and certainly will be an integration challenge for the two entities as they combine. Certainly, I've spoken previously about the pain points when it comes to mergers. Certainly, we don't often see mega mergers of this kind, and it will have a big impact on all of the financial institutions in the market, both peers, clients, and prospects for the custodian. So certainly it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months in terms of announcements about who stays, who goes, and how the new organisation will shape up under a new leadership. One would assume there'll be some changes at the top, or particularly within lines of business. So one of the key fintech assets of BBH has been the intermediary business, and that will be an interesting one to watch from the fintech perspective, how that evolves and how it combines, for that matter, with the many assets that State Street has acquired or established over the last couple of years, including CRD. So we'll be watching this space when it comes to the next few months and the custodian landscape. Now, when it comes to my final words for this month, I think they need to reflect that it's the start of conference season. So although most of the conferences are unfortunately now virtual, same as the last year, because of the crisis and the pandemic that continues on, but there are plenty of different conferences out there, and I've just finished chairing as the moderator for one for 2 days earlier this month, InvestOps EU. Some of the hot topics that were discussed there, including looking at how we retain and attract top talents within the operations sphere. Now, ops is often a training ground for the rest of an organisation, and that certainly hasn't changed over recent years. But some of the discussion about how to keep talent was around making a difference, feeling like they are able to contribute to the wider organisation, working on more interesting projects, moving away from some of the rather dry and repetitive tasks that operations individuals are often faced with. So the whole point of fintech being introduced to make the user experience that much more interesting and engaging from the perspective of your day-to-day users of these systems. Now, certainly a lot of that will be dependent on the adoption of next generation technologies like AI and machine learning, which can reduce the amount of sort of grunt work, as it were, when it comes to some of the processes like reconciliation. So certainly there was a lot of discussion on those topics during the 2 days. Likewise, there was a lot of discussion about the regulatory agenda, the importance of ESG and overall focus on climate and sustainability within the asset management contingent. A lot of direction for travel, information about how data quality is shaping up in that space. It's a key focus for the coming years. Obviously, a lot of asset managers are very worried about being accused of greenwashing, so it's a reputational hit if you don't focus on auditability, traceability, lineage of your data assets, underpinning key strategies, key decisions. That obviously goes for reg reporting and risk management practices as well. So data quality was a definite key topic during the 2 days there as well, alongside talent. In terms of interesting technologies, I think crypto only came up once and blockchain only came up a couple of times. So certainly asset managers seem very much more interested in things like data strategies. A lot of interest, as I say, in AI and its potential application to be able to make the lives of post-trade staff more engaging. And if I was going to say anything, I would say it was good to see so many different COOs talking about their teams as a whole, mental health, wellness, all of these different things. There's been a discussion about the fact that hybrid working is being adopted quite largely particularly within Europe, within the asset management sphere. It seems to be much more popular there than in the investment banking community. So certainly I think there's been some lines drawn, certainly some interesting engagement and understanding of how best people work within teams and what types of processes are best done in the office versus those done whilst working from home. So I think that hybrid model will continue to evolve. Technologies around communication have certainly improved, and we've seen some key partnerships out there with the likes of Symphony, partnering with other firms out there to try and improve that sort of coverage of communication tools across the sphere of fintechs. So certainly we'll see many more partnerships. We've also got many more conferences coming up, including Sivos, which was due to be in Singapore this year. Unfortunately, won't be in Singapore, but it will be virtual. And Firebrand will be participating. I'm going to be talking on two panels, one on securities and the improvements around securities processing, securities lifecycle tracking and transparency, and the other on the ever popular topic of cybersecurity. So please come down or turn on your computer and check those out. And when it comes to these, please feedback as much as possible. I'd love to know your opinions on some of the things I discuss every month.